So in this video, I want to talk about the problem solution cycle. And I learned this actually from talking to a random guy at a coffee shop. He was reading Alex Hormozi's book, so maybe it's possible that he got this concept from him. So definitely not my original idea, but I just want to talk about this concept because I think it's important. So this idea is that I think sometimes we think that once we solve a problem that we're gonna be done. I think I find myself with this, right? But then you realize as soon as you solve that problem, like you have a momentary feeling of achievement or relief or whatever it is, and then you will immediately, in very short order, get hit with a brand new problem. And so this is the concept I want to share. Like for example, if you are, I remember for the longest time I wanted to be the only thing in college. I really wanted to be an investment banker, and I wanted to make six figures right out of undergrad. That was the dream. That was like the absolute dream for me, and I worked hard at doing that, really hard at doing that. And I worked really hard to get my GPA up, and I studied all these, it was called all these like training the street interview guides. And I applied to this investment banking club at my college, and I remember doing all this prep just to get into this club. And then once I got into this club, I remember networking and calling all these bankers and all this stuff, and got an internship at a financial internship at Baird, at this financial firm. And then once I got into that like first internship, I remember networking with the investment banking department, really trying to get coffee with people and doing all this stuff. I was going all in on trying to get this six-figure job right out of college, right? That was the problem I was trying to solve. How can I make a shit ton of money out of undergrad? That was a shit ton of money for me then. That's still a good salary for me now even. And so, but how can I do that? That was the problem I was solving, and then I got it, right? I ended up getting the offer. I ended up getting the job, and I started working the job, and it created a new problem for me. That I was working for the job, making the money, super excited. It created a new problem for me. For one, my health was really suffering because you work about anywhere between 14 and 17 hours a day, sitting, a lot of sitting. So I went from being pretty active to being very sedentary, and you get $30 a day for meals. So I was ordering in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that went a long way, at least back then. This was back in 2015, and so then I was eating a bunch of food, like not good food. I remember I was eating every single meal out. I wouldn't eat any meals. I don't even know if I would eat one meal, one meal. I think I would eat every single meal out, ordering. I legitimately, other than fruit, that was I think I had like fruit and nuts in my house, and I don't think I would cook even a single meal. And so I would just eat out every single meal. And so I was getting out of shape, getting health issues. My mental health was really bad. It was still worth it. I'm talking about all the negatives. It's definitely still worth it. I got to make a good amount of money early in my career, which allowed me to quit and then go after software engineering, which is really cool. And I got to just meet a lot of really, really driven people. So it was definitely worth it. And I got to learn a lot. You learn a lot. So sometimes when you're like completely engrossed in something like that, you do. You're definitely hitting diminishing returns, but you do learn a lot. So I learned a lot actually. But the point I'm trying to get at is that I solved one problem, and then I created several more. And so those were new problems I had to solve. And so then like the next problem was like, okay, how do I make this amount of money while having a life, and how do I make this amount of money while doing something I enjoy more. And so then the next solution to that was a software engineering job, right? And then, and then I went to a coding boot camp, right? And then that like deciding to quit created a bunch of problems. Like that was a solution. All right, I'm gonna quit and be a software engineer. So then there was that was a solution. So you have this temporary relief, like, okay, yeah, now this is great. I don't have to keep working this job that's killing me forever. I can work it for a period of time until I save up enough to quit, and then I can quit. And then so you have a solution, right? But then it's like, okay, there's new problems now. Now I have to decide how am I gonna who do I talk to quit? What am I gonna say to them? How am I gonna, where am I gonna live? How am I gonna learn how to, I was living with roommates at the time who also worked at the firm. How am I gonna learn how to code well enough to get a job without a CS degree? All these new problems came up from there. And so then you solve those problems one at a time, right? I went to a coding boot camp, and then I spent all this time in coffee shops before the coding boot camp, just trying to build whatever I could. Then I went to a coding boot camp. Then I got a job at a startup, and so anyway, and then once I got that job at that startup, then there was all these other problems. I didn't know what I was doing, and these engineers were running laps around me, and I didn't really know how to code that well, even though I spent 8 months doing nothing but writing code. But it's still not enough time, and I wasn't super effective at learning at 23, 24. I didn't have that focus, that focused brain, a good software engineering brain where you just dial in for multiple hours at a time. Investment banking had trained me personally to do a lot of FaceTime, to spend a lot of time making sure I was always available and really reactionary, making sure I was really responsive to emails and stuff, which is great. But software engineering, it was almost as if I needed to master a different skill set, where I needed to learn how to shut off everything and just write code for 2 or 3 hours straight during non-business hours. That's what I saw. That's what the software engineers who were good, what I saw them doing. So anyway, that was a whole new skill set I had to develop. But the whole point of this video is that every time you solve a problem, every time you solve something, you create a whole nother set of problems. So problems, it's a cycle, right? You solve, and then you have another problem. You create another problem. And so I think that this concept is really interesting because, why it almost sounds, I mean, I don't want it to sound, I don't want it to sound like I'm making an issue here, like it's depressing or something. But the reason I'm making this video, the whole point of this is for me to remind myself and whoever's watching this is that it really is all about the journey. It's really all about yes, you have to solve the problems, but realize that there's never a time where you're done. There's always a new problem to solve. There's always something else to solve, and so I think it's realizing that. And there's some liberation in that. There's some liberation in realizing okay, I'm always gonna have problems to solve. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna solve them. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna solve the one that's in front of me right now. But I'm not gonna for a second think that once I solve this, I can just chill. I'm gonna realize okay, I'm gonna solve this problem today, and I'm gonna grow. And then it's gonna unlock new problems that I'll have to solve tomorrow. And if I need to take a break for a little while, and what I meant earlier, and just chill. I mean, it is good to rest. I actually believe a lot in deep rest. But it's never gonna be a case where there's just zero problems forever. I think that is what I'm trying to get at this video. So it's, to me, what I'm learning is that it's all about the journey. And now I'm going to say something that maybe kind of contradicts this video, because I really love Eckhart Tolle's content, and he's author of The Power of Now. It's a really good book. And he talks about how when you're really, really present, problems don't exist, because a problem usually happens, will happen if you're focused on the future or the past, right? Because that's when you have problems. So if the way to actually truly exist in a state where there's no problems is to completely find the present moment and to just completely be here now. You know, like meditation and yoga and just anything that helps draw you into the now will put you in a state where there are no problems. But the second whenever you're trying to do anything in this external world, there's always going to be problems. And so this video is a little bit rambly, but I do think that there's some nuggets here, and mainly like I think that to recap, I'm kind of figuring this video out as I'm making it. To recap, the two things I want to get across, again, both to myself and whoever's watching this, is one, whenever you're trying to do something in the external world, whether it's build a physique, whether it's build a skill set, like a software engineering skill set, whether it's make a lot of money, whether it's even cooking a meal, right? You cook a meal, you solve a problem, now you have something to eat. Okay, great, you ate it, now you have another problem, you have dishes to put away, right? Whatever it is, in the external world, you're going to find this problem solution cycle. So it's encouraging to realize that you can just enjoy the current problem that you're dealing with. So I think that's and not don't wait to enjoy until later. So that's the first takeaway. And the second takeaway is, if you want to have no problems, just exist in the now and just be present and spend as much time in the present moment as you can, because that is kind of the only time where you're gonna have no problems and because you're just so here. And so this stuff is a little bit honestly out of my realm of understanding. I am kind of this is one of those videos where I'm meandering a little bit right now, trying to figure it out like on the fly. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about this video. I don't know. Please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video at all, or if it was just really kind of rambly and maybe a waste of your time. But I thought I'd share this video because I'm in kind of this really relaxed state right now. I just had I'm like in a really good state right now. You know, I just went to a coffee shop, had a really good like few hours of deep work, followed by I had a really good lift I lifted some weights with my dad for about an hour. I lifted with him for about 30-40 minutes, and I lifted for another like 40 minutes after he left. And then I just chilled in the steam room meditating for like 30 minutes, and then took a shower afterwards. And I'm just in this like super relaxed state. And somehow this concept came into my mind, and so I thought I'd just turn on the camera and ramble a little bit. But let me know in the comments if this video was useful to you at all. And if it was, do leave me a like and subscribe. It would really help out the channel a lot. I'm super my channel is growing, but it's still small, and I am trying to grow it. So do let me know. Do leave me a like and subscribe if you did like this content. And I'll see y'all in the next one. I really appreciate you engaging with my content overall and in general, and honestly this video, because it is a little bit rambly. And I'll see y'all in the next one. All right, take care.
It's time to build something. I don't care if we fail before we succeed. We're gonna succeed. These days I've been traveling a lot, taking lots of walks, pocket notebook on the plane, different schedule, different clocks, finding stages, stepping up to open mics, feeling fear to jump, but jumping anyway, it's quite the sight, yeah. A crowd is coming into view, heard my voice crack like shattered glass and wondered what to do. Watch my amp die like bad habits on a grapevine, felt my Martin lose its grip like measured words from too much wine, yeah. Yeah. Appetite for failure growing, overflowing seeds. I'm so